Hi and welcome, I'm Bill Say, and in this video I want to talk about a really central, foundational part of diversity awareness work, and that is about identity. Here it is. And I'm going to be talking about identity both at the individual level, but also collective identity, and why it's so vital to diversity awareness. And to do so, I'm going to circle back to the first video that I made in the series that mentions the goal of community. Here, I'll draw it. So let me say now why identity is so central to diversity awareness work, and it's precisely because, at least in my mind, it's because of this thing called community. Because if we are going to have some sense of community, I would argue that this identity needs to be supported, pretty accepted. If I'm not supported in this thing called community, I'm going to say it's not a community yet. It's not a community till I'm a part of it. Yeah? And if this is you, you might say something similarly. Yeah? Assuming you want to be part of that community, that somehow your identity needs to have enough support behind it and enough expression that you have the room to be you in this identity. Because that's one of the important functions of identity. It gives us a sense of self and oftentimes a sense of purpose. This is what I am about. This is what I stand for. Or, at a collective level, this is who we are. This is what we believe in. This is what we want. This is what we believe, etc. But if we're thinking about overall community, here's one natural thing. When we form identities in life, we often form at the same time some kind of other. So for example, if I form an identity over time that's about being, for example, hardworking, almost automatically, naturally somewhat, I start to somehow cultivate some kind of an other in relationship to that hard-working identity, which could be the other that's not so hard-working. Or let's say I develop over time an identity that has to do with political view. Let's say progressive politically. Well, the other here might be, for example, someone who's more conservative, etc. Yeah? So if we're thinking about overall community, identity or self and other are important. Because if there's only room for me, and there's not room for you, I would say that's not a community yet. Or there's only room for you, but there's not yet room for me and support for me, I would also say that's not a community. And I think this is applicable in family work, happens all the time, where maybe there's a part of the family system that's not yet supported. There's a part that is, there's a part that's not. Yeah? And in a later video, I'm going to talk more about the other. But for right now, I really want to emphasize the importance of identity. We need to have a way, in individual ways, you and I, and then again in the collective sense, to have enough sense of, this is who I am. This is what I believe. This is what I stand for. This is what we are about as a family, as a cultural group, as an organization. This is our purpose. Yeah? So identity as part of a larger communal process is central, is vital. And in many situations, I'll call this communities that could be. In many situations, there are identities that are struggling to be, to exist, struggling to be heard, struggling to be understood. Yeah? Or they are fairly established, and I see the struggle to be aware enough, for example, of their own power. Because in a given system, if the identity has a lot of support, it has some central nature to it, it has some power, not infrequently, it's not, there needs to be more awareness of the power and the centrality that may be associated with an identity that has enough support, especially when we start to think about others who may have less support, less recognition, less acceptance, fewer privileges, less power, etc. So this is a really big piece of diversity awareness work. Let's see, anything else to say? What would you say? Let me think for just a moment. Maybe it's enough. So a little piece of homework. If you're interested in overall community, that is to say diversity awareness, because I tend to make that link there, which is to say I assume that if you're interested in diversity awareness, you must be interested in something more inclusive, something that's more whole. So again, to repeat, that means identity is important. So noticing what makes up your identity, I'd ask you, what are the different factors that make you you? And do some of those factors contribute to you being marginal in the world or more central? And then really studying those dynamics, because you may see that there are actual steps to take if you are marginal to become more empowered, more a part of things, more believing in who you are and what you stand for. On the other hand, you may notice that in your study of identity that you have a fair amount of power. But you also may notice, every once in a while you have power problems. You have almost too much power for the situation, or maybe more. You don't have quite the awareness that you need to be able to work with others in every moment. And that would be something to aspire to. Yeah? So there it is, a little bit about community, identity, and other. And yeah, if you have any comments or questions, leave it in the comment box. And I'll hope to see you the next time when I go into the other. Thanks. Bye-bye.